Hello, everybody. It is Bill Sumner and Brian. I hope you guys are doing awesome. So we're in this arc of software. Uh, what what is software? You hear me talk about it all the time. We talk about old software, old you, new you software. Which one are you in? How to load software, how to install software. Those types of comments, those types of concepts are very, very crucial to the inevitable you. They are contained in essence from neuro-linguistic programming. I've taken the science terms and made it into a more user-friendly system. Again, when I started this, I hung out my shingle in 2000, 2001. I've been doing this full time now for 17 years. I can assure you 17 years ago, talking about software, had a little bit of problems. But today, virtually everyone is familiar with computers, kind of what they do, what software is, what role and function is. So when you think of that little hard drive that you have between your ears with a couple, 3 pounds of fat and water, and there's an operating system, just like a Windows operating system, that in essence is your mind. Now we can begin to do some really awesome things that aren't really included in traditional psychology. So, we're doing some more installation tools, and tonight I wanted to focus on diagnosing tools. Now, I do want to do a little review before we get started because we had a pretty good question. So I want to go back through. Last week I gave you the, do you know the sentence? And this is what it looked like. Do you know the sentence? Do you believe the sentence? Do you know what software must be driving that sentence? And do you act on the sentence? Well, somebody popped up and asked me, what sentence? what sentence are you talking about? And again, because we live and breathe and sleep and are involved in this every day, virtually every day, I want to make this as easy for you as it is for me. What's the sentence? Is it a line in my software? What am I talking about? So let's put this back into a flow tool. Remember, flow tools are done on the fly. Sometimes they stick longer, sometimes they stay around. But in essence, what we're doing is we're putting into a string a series of tools, a series of equations, if you will, a series of commands that in essence are the user-friendly way to look at your life and the, again, operating system that's driving it. So, for most, and I say for most because this is, we always use the bell curve. There's 10% here that are like rocket ships, and they just take this technology or other similar technology and just absolutely take off. Bottom 10% hate it, are disgruntled, oftentimes makes them feel even worse. And then in the big middle, there's the most. So for most, here's what you have to understand. They're doing the best they can. They just absolutely wake up every morning, put a smile on their face. They go out the door. They might have a list. They might not. They may have structure and format to their life. It may come from work, may come from parenting. Whatever it is, they are absolutely doing the best they can. Now, what that means is, life is happening. They're waking up and making choices as to what they can and can't do. What do they believe in? What do they believe can happen today? How and where they're going to stretch their life. Where they're going to contract and shrink and defend their life and be absolutely on guard. What they're afraid of. What story they tell themselves about all of this. Well, it started with when, and then this happened, and I tried that, and then this happened, and then I was getting better, and then I was getting worse, and then I was going sideways, and I was going. They tell the story that in essence matches the facts. They're doing the best they can. And as this is happening to them, they are learning. They're not bad. They're not stupid. They're above average. Remember, if we look at our bell curve, there's the above average line. Everybody over there is above average. So even if you're deep in the middle of an away pattern, you're above average. You're better at avoiding pain. You're better at choosing less pain, and you call that good. You're iterating what you're learning. You're focused on it. You're adding value. You're getting better. The planet's getting tougher. You're getting better. It reinforces the story. Sometimes depending, it could be a crisis in the family. It could be a crisis at work. You challenge the story. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna put up with this. This has gone on long enough. Sometimes you just give up. I'm tired. I've done this for 8 years. I've done the best. It's not meant for me. And again, you will tell a story that matches all of the above, all of these facts. Life is happening, what you believed, where you thought you were going to get more, where you did, where you didn't. It's all. Now, the inevitable you teaches that rather than focus on these sentences that are in the story, I did, I can, I tried, I failed, I got up, I fell down, blah, blah, blah. There are key sentences in the story, because there's a lot of blah, blah, and them, the key sentences, and then at that point in time, I stopped, I started, I quit, I got up, I changed, I did, I couldn't change. Now, first, you got to know the software that's driving all of those sentences. That's where do you know the sentence comes from. It is a programming sentence. It'll be right at the inflection or the pivot point. You're either going to forge ahead, stall, turn back, straddle the fence, hold off on making the final push, whatever it looks like. Now, if you change the software, so in our tool system, this is, loading Windows 61 to a current Windows 17, or you load new what does that mean? The sentences themselves are going to change. What you believe can change. Actions change. And more likely than not, fear is rising because you're out of your comfort zone. You are in a place you're not easy and familiar, even if it's, a bad place. You're familiar with it. You know all the boundaries and the rules. You've put new software. You're driving in a new direction. Fear is rising. Failure is rising because there's new competencies that are harder. You've picked to go faster, climb higher. And sadly, most, and again, this is most do not pay attention that excitement is rising. A lot of times because of, fear and failure, they're jerked back into the old software. Now, diagnostics, that's where we're starting tonight. We talked last week about installing through repetition, through intensity, new software. So you got to ask yourself, is it working the way you wish? And do you know, and if it's working, you want to know why, and if it's not working, why isn't it working? So, the first thing we have to ask ourselves, is it creating the success that we want? And realize that failure is en route to success. Eleanor Roosevelt has a great expression, I use it all the time, is success. Are we climbing? Are we accelerating? Are we in motion in a new territory? Or has something happened and we're just reinforcing the old software? Now, the first diagnostic, you know this tool. Again, you should know this tool. If you don't, it's a 20-plus minute. It's kind of a TED Talk, towards and away. More pleasure, less pleasure. More pain, less pain. Your ability to frame and reframe is embedded in this tool. It is paired framing and reframing is with a quantum class. Is it half full? Is it half empty? It's always both. It's what are you framing and reframing as you look at the situation. So a lot of times the diagnostic reveals that we started down towards, we ran into old you, old you got emotion rising in the wrong direction, anxiety, stress, fear. We're going to hope that we got a new song on the radio and re-engaged new you. We reframed what was failing as lesson, wisdom, success, experience, judgment, and we were back in motion again. And every time we do this, it gets easier. Now, sometimes it's, we think, and thinking is good, but feelings are, not good. Sometimes, our thinking is neutral. We're applying positive emotions. These are one of the most powerful variables. When you think and apply great positive, or when you think and you're applying stress and anxiety to it, versus you've now reframed it and you have put a new sentence that's attached to new software, and now you are dissociating any negative consequences. You are taking the adrenaline and calling it excitement and getting very upbeat and positive about it and making it joy and easy. And again, the challenge is most, and it could be your spouse, it could be your colleagues, think you're crazy. No, life isn't this way. You can't do it this easy. Yeah, you can. That's the way it works. So, is it IQ or EQ? Is it driven by what? What is the motivation? Are you more driven by, why did that jump on me? Did it jump on your screen too? Kind of weird. Driven by what? Is it fear? Is it an old song on the radio? Is it your spouse? Is it your boss? Is it a colleague? Who's driving this? Is it new you? Is it old you? Is it positive or negative? You know, is it when it's current MOW, is current MOW, you know, Windows 17? Or is your old you software? Your most important tool is you're implying I'm doing this now. Remember, there's only 2 time frames to reality. This is a whole nother awesome tool in the system. And so when we're in the diagnostics, we could have all of this stuff lined up, and it's towards, and we got great emotions, and we're in new software, and then all of a sudden we go, yeah, well, it's all set, but you know, I'll do this next week. Oops. There's how quickly, when you put a not now time frame on it, and now the not now is starting to get into the I have a nightmare. Oh, this is so hard. You know, it's so uncomfortable. I'm not sure that I can do this. You know, how long can I do this? I want comfort. Yeah, what 4-year-old wants comfort? No 4-year-old wants comfort. They want what they want. They want what they want. They want to ride that bike. They want to climb that tree. They want to do something. Now, this is all part of the 6-step model. There's a whole lot more in the diagnostic section, but I wanted to give you guys a really good opportunity to understand what goes into diagnosing. That's what Brian and I do when we're in coaching. You know, what's the deepest truth? What's really going on? What's gone sideways? We listen to your sentences. Remember, that's where this all started. You know, we're looking at the software that's driving it. We're in the place of saying, yeah, but have you thought of it this way? What if you took the negative and realized it's really a positive? So sometimes, you know, we have to reboot. You know, this tool is after diagnostics, but now that we know what's wrong, what do we want to do? You know, when your PC is acting up, you know, what you generally will do after looking at a couple things, you'll just go, ah, crap, I'm just going to reboot. So you close everything down because you reboot properly. So what does it mean to reboot? We're going to take a walk. We're going to get up and go get a cup of coffee, or we're going to go down to the water cooler. Maybe we take a moment and call a friend or call our spouse and say, hey, how's your day going? Yeah, I'm just in a bit of a rough patch. I'm just stretching. You know, a lot of times it will have a physical aspect. We will change our state, our physical, so that we can get the breathing down, so we get the adrenaline out of our stomach. But sometimes rebooting it is not enough. Sometimes you have to go reinstall the software. So to reinstall the software, we've got to go all the way back to when we designed it. Now, you might have designed it after this call or in your journaling process. What does a design mean? It's your MOW. What I'm afraid of, what I'm embracing, how I'm handling my fear, how I'm energizing it, how I'm turning it to a positive. And then with all the same tools, you can go back to repetition, you can go back to intensity, and you reinstall the software. You can use a new song on the radio to do that. You can use the amnesia tool to do that. You can use the very, very, very powerful I Choose Meaning tool. Again, all of these have videos. All of these have book chapters or 1 or 2 or 3 pages of text with them. If you don't know any of these, again, the point is we were installing software that we designed to change how we're interpreting reality so we can act differently. We did that last week. We want to diagnose what's working so we can reinforce it. We want to know what's not working. Is it a reboot? Is it a reinstall? That should give you a great look at it. And as always, if you want to go way into the future and do your 2025 I Have a Dream speech, you know, and go into the top 3% club, you can do that too. It's just doing more of the same more intensely.